There we go. All right. This is super.
Very good. All right. Ready, set, go?
Ah!
You sounded like.
Oh, come on, you fucktard.
Facebook's on. Everybody's good.
Fucking Instagram.
How long you guys been doing this podcast?
We just started.
Obviously.
No, we've been doing this for 3 years.
Sometimes it's real smooth. Sometimes it's not.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean scheduling a guest?
Yeah.
Before going on, you think you mean that didn't set you up for instant success?
Hey, what are you talking about? Jordan and I.
Fly by the seat. of your
This is my fault. This is 100% my fault. Jordan brought up wanting to come on like 2 weeks ago, and I just straight dropped the ball. We'll call that exactly what it is. It's 100% me. I'll own it.
All right, we're live. Let the people know.
I'm a man. I can change. Anyway, welcome to the Sober Swole podcast. My name is Jake Howard.
And I go by DJ Swirl.
Chocolate and vanilla swirl.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest this evening. But before we get into that, I'd like to give a shout out to Royalty Nutrition. And to help me out with that, as always, here is Warhorse.
Hey, it's Warhorse. Do you want your workouts to look like this? Or do you want your workouts to slay? When Warhorse picks his pre-workout, he wants it to slay. If you want second place, go with somebody else. If you want to be a champion, go with Royalty Nutrition.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Royalty Nutrition is a veteran-owned and operated supplement company that doesn't automatically use the cheapest ingredients in their formulas to help you reach your fitness goals. Check them out and use the discount code JAKE15 to save you 15% on your entire order. My next shout-out of the evening will be to Gorilla Gains. That's gorilla-gains with a Z.com. They are a fitness apparel company that you can wear comfortably in and out of the gym. They also make great equipment that helps keep you safe while you train. Use the discount code JAKE15 to save you 50% on that as well. DJ Swirl, tell them about the Buy-to-Buy Empire.
If you find yourself shopping in-store or online and you do not have the time, towing, or the muscle to move it, hit us up at Buy-to-Buy. That is BUYTOBYE. We help you from the time you buy until the time we say goodbye. That is for fast-friendly, on-demand delivery, moving, staging, TV mounting, and assembly. We help anyone from small bedroom apartments to full-scale houses and everything in between. Hit us up at Buy-to-Buy. This, what you're watching right now, is Buy-to-Buy Studios. This is the content creation side of the business. We do remote content creation. Do it all from the comfort of your confines. We do creative consulting. You got an idea, haven't put pen to paper yet, let us know. We'll help you get there. And we also do post-production. If you've already got something going, you just need help putting it out there, let us know. We'll take care of you as well. That is Buy-to-Buy Studios, everywhere you are. Jake, who have we got tonight?
Tonight on the show, we have a good friend of mine named Mr. Jordan Watson. Welcome to the show.
What up, man? Good to see you guys.
Yeah. So for those of you who do not know, Jordan and I were both in the mighty 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines way back when in the 2006 to 2010 days.
Gotta give it
And
out.
Yeah, and Jordan was we worked together a time or two while he was contracting, and he's reached out a couple times, talking about wanting to know how I got sober, and it really all boiled down to you have to find out something that works for you. We're going to get further into that here, but Jordan, tell the folks more about you, please.
Yeah, I served with you for. You were in a different company at the time, but we were both in 3-7. Man, I just I've taken a look back almost since that time. Since we were in the Marines, that my life just kind of was formed around some of the stuff we went through, and um, like not healing from that the right way, getting addicted to alcohol, drugs, validation, and other places. Just like as healthy of as unhealthy of a mindset as I could have gotten myself into, and then finding some close friends, watching some guys around me that had been through sort of the same thing, and kind of turned their life around. I chatted with you multiple times about finding sobriety, and then once I finally did, man, it was just everything clicked as like coming online. So it's just, if one person hears it, and hears a story about a place that they're at, I don't know if it helps them get out of a hole, man. It's like I'd way rather go out on a line and share my story than keep it inside. So.
Yeah, and then that was, I mean, I was telling you before we started, that's pretty much how this whole show, the purpose of the show,
Mm-hmm.
was just to reach out, and if there's somebody that listens to it and they're like, that makes
Yeah.
sense, I can change my life too. But so what led you to finally saying enough is enough for the last time?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm sure for you it was the same way. It's like now that the dust has settled and you can look back, it's like there were so many warning signs. There were so many times where I was like, damn, maybe I should, maybe next week. It had gotten to the point to where just my everyday habits, my lifestyle, it was all focused around the next time I was going to get fucked up. And it's like I found myself, dude, I found myself with lower than 500 credit score. I couldn't get a loan for a toothbrush. It's like, dude, I had drank myself into such a hole, into such a corner, that I kind of realized that I was going to lose my life to alcohol. I was going to lose my life to those coping mechanisms, and somehow, I don't know if it was a come to Jesus moment, but it did kind of muster itself out of nowhere. I'll tell you, I think it was a New Year's Eve. I'd gone out with some friends, and I think we went to a casino that night. We were just drinking, and went to a local bar close to my house, and just it it got so out of hand. It just got so out of hand, and there were a couple days there after New Year's where I was waking up in the middle of the night, choking on my own vomit just from being so drunk. The damage that amount of alcohol does on your body, man, it all kind of came crashing down, and I realized I had nowhere to go. I mean, my house was in foreclosure. I wasn't working at the time. I said my credit score was terrible. And I really had no options. And then when it started affecting my health so bad, I mean, thank God it didn't get to the point where I seriously hurt someone, in a DUI accident or doing something just as a different person. I mean, it completely changed who I was, man. So that's kind of when I realized enough was enough.
So after we got out, you went and had how long did you contract? How long were you?
I was over there. I contracted with different name. It's Academy Constellus, but it's Blackwater is the company that it is. It's all the same people. But I was over there from like mid 2014 to late 2017, so 3 years, a little bit more. And I had some really crazy opportunities over there, man. I quickly found myself. I was very new to contracting. I mean that's the one and only contracting job I've ever had. But I went to, they've got that like special course down in Moyoc, once you submit your information to the company, and you go through that course and then get sent over. But I found myself, I was on a static gig in Kabul, Afghanistan, in the green zone, right near the embassy. And we were, our contract was mainly mobile. But when you're new, when you first show up, you get put on static for a little bit. I got lucky. I was on static for, man, like a month or two, and then found myself like on the number one team on camp. I mean, our principal was the U.S. ambassador, the number one dude America has over there, besides the Army generals right across the street at the big ISAF headquarters. It's like, yeah, the AMBO was the most important guy, and so he had a mobile team strictly dedicated to him, and I found myself on this team of just savages, man. It was so dope. It was like a couple of the guys were just hard charging recon Marines. We had a couple. We had like the greatest doc on camp, but I was learning from these guys and like learning the ropes. And man, I contracted over there for almost 4 years. And about a year after I got onto that team, Anvil 1, which was the ambassador's team, a lot of those guys quit. The pay fluctuated a little bit. The leave rotations fluctuated a little bit. And I found myself pretty much in charge of that team. So there's a shift leader position, and then there's a tactical commander position. That's like your platoon, your platoon sergeant, and then the NCOs that follow in suit underneath. But man, I was in charge of like some of the greatest men I've ever met, hands down. Special forces guys, a mix of talent from all over. But I had a really close-knit group of guys, Marines mostly, on my mobile team that I was kind of able to hand pick and get on that team. A couple of them were actually from 3-7, names you might recognize. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Some of them were after our generation. They were like our boots. But
Like the singing guys.
yeah. Lots of the singing guys. But a couple of them that like remembered me. There were a lot of guys over there actually from 3-7. I think I sent you that picture, but
Oh yeah.
dude,
There's,
yeah,
there's
and it was so dope for a long time, man. Getting good money, had the prestige of working on that team. I mean, eating Thai food with Secretary of Defense Mattis at the
That's
time. Like,
sick.
dude, it was so dope. And at the same time, I was battling myself internally in a way that like I couldn't really describe to anyone. Just the depression, the guilt of a lot of stuff surrounding a lot of friends that we've lost in the Marines. It was just, it kept coming on. I kept shoving it down. And at that time, at that level, it's like there's no time to pay attention to that. It's like making good money, traveling every leave rotation, and being the top dogs on camp. So it was a really, really good experience all in all. But about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way in, my alcoholism had started to really, really catch up with me. Dude, I didn't drink alcohol. I'm not shitting you guys. I didn't have my first sip of alcohol probably until the summer before my senior year of high school. And I never really drank then. And then I learned what binge drinking was once I got to 3-7, and once we found out, I know you remember this day, man. Once we found out that we were going to Ramadi and the way that all our seniors reacted, dude,
Whoa.
it was like it was the end.
Well, we're all gonna die. Might as well get wasted now.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So it turned into binge drinking from then. Pretty much every opportunity I got, every opportunity I had, I was trying to get fucked up. Drugs, alcohol, women, anything. So when I was over in Afghanistan, towards the end of that contracting tour, I went through kind of a rough breakup at home. I'd gotten caught lying, cheating, drinking, not not being my normal self. It's like living that life of extremes. I'd be over there for 3.5 months, and then I'd come home for 30 days. So those 30 days, it was just balls to the wall. You got a fat paycheck. And so I came back. I went over to Afghanistan after that breakup, man, and it really put me in a place to where I just kind of got out of control. It's a zero tolerance policy working for companies like that, especially in that area. The contract we were on was zero tolerance. And man, I found my ways. I found my ways when I was over there, but it got to the point to where, um, I'm making these calls. I'm training with these guys on my team. We're doing these missions, and it got to the point to where it was like, man, I gotta get home and take care of myself. So I came home from Afghanistan in December of 2017 ish. Struggled for a long time. Actually started drinking more than I ever had. I was drinking a little bit over in Afghanistan. I was able to source it, even though I knew the repercussions. But man, when I got home, it was easily a fifth a day, plus probably a 6-pack of tall boys alone. That's just like a standard. And yeah, man, it was no good. It was no good.
And then that went on for how long have you been sober now?
Over a year, man. I think my last time being drunk was like New Year's Eve of 2022. So a little bit over a year.
Okay. So pretty much from 2017 to 2022, a fifth and then 6 tall boys just
Oh yeah.
running
Every
gun.
day. I experienced a lot of cool stuff in that time. I don't remember shit. I don't know if that
Yeah.
I don't know if you have that same thing, but there's just like these periods that I can't it's like I have these weird little flashes of memory, and like someone will talk about it and I'll
Mhm.
remember it. But it's all gone. It's all gone.
Well, that's how it is. Like most of the time, most of my time out here when I was living in Tempe with all the boys when we first got out the first
Mhm.
time,
Yeah, you and like
me,
Marshall and a couple of the other dudes, right?
it was me, Fleming, Wiegert, Kriesel, Marshall, Banks,
All the
and
boys.
then and then Howe and Frazier and Shaw. Like, dude, we had a
Yeah,
squad.
that's
David
true.
Stevens from India was out
Yeah,
here for a while too. Like,
yeah,
it's
that's a
mobbing deep everywhere.
yeah.
But we get together for the Marine Corps birthday, and a lot of the times they'll be like, "Hey, man, do you remember when you were blah blah blah?" I'm like, "Ooh, no, but that sounds like me." Like there's, there's
It's like and it's all accompanied with a decent. I mean, at least for me, I'm working on that still, but it's
mhm,
all accompanied with a decent amount of guilt, decent amount of shame. It's like, damn, how did I ever let myself get that bad? Like, uh, but it was. I mean, for me, it was a lot of the environment that I put myself in. Most of my
yeah,
friends here at that time were also heavy drinkers, and it had become my norm to be that drunk. Like um, I was functional, man. It's like I could walk around like function. Almost blackout drunk, and it just got to a point, man, where it's like I said earlier. It was I had to choose myself, but when you're that low, I mean, man, I'm sure you've been there, dude. But like I was facing the mental health side of it, pretty rough. Um,
mhm,
Trying to make sense of it. It's like I've come to realize in some work that I've been doing recently about like how we choose to process events in our life. And I realized that a lot of what that alcohol was doing was like putting a patch over things that I would normally already process with a very, very healthy dose of guilt.
yeah,
Instead of just figuring out a way out of the mess, it's like every every trial and tribulation that life throws at you, I was processing it as if it was all my fault. With every, like every mistake, every shitty drunk night, every ruined relationship, it was like in my back pocket when I was trying to process my way out of stuff, and that's what alcohol enabled me to do, just kind of like separate from myself. But you create I mean, at least for me, like I created a different person. I created
Yeah.
a different person full of different habits, full of different wants. And it was all based around like how unhealthy I had let myself become.
No, that makes total sense to me. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of old me that I don't recognize and probably wouldn't have recognized. I've told my wife, because she was living out in Arizona when I was out partying around, and I was like, I am so happy you never met me before you did. Like I, because
Yeah,
this wouldn't be a thing. Like with
I know the
like
feeling. I know the feeling. I'm in one of those right now, man. She's the most incredible woman I have ever met, and it's like being in this place now. I mean, you've got 6 kids, dude.
it's
6 kids.
fucking wild, right?
It's like being in this place and thinking back to what we were capable of, what our
Mhm.
mindset was. It's night and day. And so I guess I don't know, man. There's a lot of volume that there's a lot of weight in being able to muster this shit up from yourself, being able to like conjure up the solution to the problem. But I mean, for me, it took really, really sitting down and dissecting my own bullshit, but
Mhm.
dissecting the narrative that I had told myself, and like all these unhealthy thoughts, all these manufactured thoughts. They formed this narrative about how the world works, how people are, what people think of us, and that's how we cope. And I realized that so much of the stuff, like I'd been telling myself that, yeah, I mean, I can drink a lot, but it's not a big deal. Like,
Right.
yeah, 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 I can drink more than most of my friends, but it's just not a
Just
big deal.
they can't hang. They can't hang. They're just not
Yeah,
party
yeah,
animals. Like,
yeah.
Mm, was I don't know if you had something like this, but like once I learned to just shut up and feel, you know what I mean? Like there was
Yeah,
like because there's a big cloud that kind of covers everything, especially while you're in active addiction, and then when you first come out, because once you start to like actually feel, you don't have, and you've cut off that that numbing agent that you always run to. You have to get comfortable with like, oh, this is gonna fucking suck.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you,
dude. Oh yeah. It's like when that dust settled, a couple weeks into sobriety, it was just like, holy shit.
yeah.
Like everything kind of comes screeching to a halt, and you really have to face yourself.
Hmm.
I was watching you go through your journey. Damn, I think I was still contracting then. Was I
Yeah,
contracting when you were doing that? Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and I watched you change so much, dude, so much, and it's like I'd be lying if I said that wasn't one of the things that was constantly in my mind. I mean, you and I talked multiple times about it, and I think one of the most important things that you told me was that I would just know, because I kept trying to ask you like, well, how do I know? How do I know if it's alcoholism, if I get, and like, I don't know how true alcoholism works. I mean, I look back and I don't really remember any withdrawals, any symptoms, any
Mhm.
like getting the crazy shakes or like, oh my God, I need a fucking drink. Um, but I dude, it was so difficult to make that decision, and it was a battle that I was constantly like fighting with myself until you kind of told me that like I'll just know, and then it is weird. Just one day, you
Hmm.
just kind of realize like it was booze that like booze was going to take my life, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. And
That was what I meant by like you'll just know. It's like I can't come to your house and hold your hand. Like
oh
I'd
yeah,
love to, I would love to just come sit by you. I mean, every time you reach for something, I slap your hand or whatever. But like
yeah,
the moment I left, you'd be back to where you wanted to be. It's like
yeah.
when it comes to getting sober and realizing that you have an issue with something, it has to be oh no shit, I have to stop, and you have to consciously make that choice every day. Like, and I think that's one of the hardest things to see, especially when like when you would like hit me up or like one of the guys will call me all fucked up sometimes still now. And I'm just like, oh, like I have to let you hurt until you want to stop hurting.
Yeah.
And it's like I can sit there and I can listen to you and we can talk and you can let it all out. I can offer the best advice I can, but like at the end of the day, I like it's you have to want to stop hurting yourself so much that you stop hurting yourself.
That's
And
exactly. That's
there's no other person in the world that can do that for you.
I found that at the root of everything, at the root of all my unhealthy habits. I mean, not just alcohol. I mean, alcohol brought out a different person in me. Um, but I realized that a lot of that was rooting from a lot of guilt that I carried, a lot of shame that I carried from some stuff in the Marines, and even before. But it was that relationship with myself that I had let get so toxic. So the thought of even changing my lifestyle and doing the difficult work, it seemed like an empty investment. It's like I didn't have a relationship enough with myself to even see the value in continuing my life. I mean, it got so bad that the only time that I ever felt I could ever feel in control was with my Glock in my mouth. And like, okay, well, like I can pull this trigger right now or I cannot pull this trigger. And that happened, man, that happened multiple times where I was like that drunk, that out of control. And like I'd wake up in that moment. Dude, it got dark, and it took me realizing that I had basically no real relationship or trust with myself. I mean, you tell yourself, oh, I'm not going to drink that much tonight, or I'm only going to drink on weekends right now. And you
Yeah.
consistently just break that trust over and over and over again. Like I ruined my relationship internally with me. And so the thought of doing the hard work to get sober, to fix my finances, to forgive myself for all the shitty things that I've done when I've drunk, all the people that I've hurt, all the relationships that I've ruined. Um, it's a lot, man. So when that dust settles and it all kind of comes back, it's like it's a heavy burden. It's not just the like being done with alcohol, because that's not I mean, there's so much more to it. It's like that's got to be the new lifestyle. You're not just like quitting something for a short period of time. It's like when I really got to that point that you told me, like I'd know. It's like, well, dude, I don't think about it at all anymore. I don't have
Yeah.
craving. It doesn't sound good to me. I go out and I see people drunk at bars, and it couldn't be less appetizing. So
It's I bring this up on the show all the time, man. Like one of the best things I did when I moved from South Texas up to Pflugerville around Austin was I got a job being barback and door security at Mavericks Dance Hall, and I got to see other drunk versions of me all around this country dance hall, and I was like, thank fucking God,
yeah,
you know. And out the door you go, but and I there's so many different ways to process stuff. I'm sure uh, Flex Chef will be here soon, but we have a guy who's been on the show, but he's usually our live stream commenter. But
cool.
the way he's processed his him giving up alcohol is way different than I did, and it's like different than you did. But the
Hmm.
thing is, it's the one thing that is consistently true is you have to wake up and consciously choose yourself.
Yeah.
whether that craving's there or not. Like you have to wake up and consciously be like, no, that sounds horrible, and move on. Because I said before, like I wake up, I still want to drink every day.
Really?
Yes, yes. Like there is nothing more appealing to me than my back porch and a glass of scotch. But I know that will crash everything around me
Yeah.
because it won't just be that one glass of scotch. It's like I'm gonna have to finish that bottle and then see who I can pee on. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
so that's a conscious choice that I have to make every day, and I'm glad you don't have that craving or whatever. That's amazing.
Dude, I
Good.
don't know. I honestly can't really credit it to anything else um, besides God. I've struggled with my faith for a long time. Um, especially going over that fucking neck of the woods, man, and seeing what those idiots are willing to do to each other in the name of their God. It
Yeah.
messed with me. It messed with my faith a lot, but I don't know that I can really fully take responsibility for like how effective me deciding to quit was. Because I told myself a lot of times, man. I told myself a lot of times that I was gonna eat, and it started with I'm just gonna ease off. I'm not gonna drink on weekdays. I'm not gonna drink before the like so many different ways to lie to myself, but it
Hmm.
still resulted in me getting drunk every fucking day. Um,
Yeah.
but it was yeah it was I realized that me choosing my life over alcohol was going to be the first time that I could remember choosing myself.
Hmm.
Um, that hurts, dude. That hurts when you realize that you've been like inflicting wounds on yourself to try and cover up other wounds. I don't know why, but I carry the weight of a lot of our homies that aren't around anymore. Um, I carry that weight, and for a long time, I was carrying that with that healthy dose of like self guilt, self loathing,
Hmm.
self worth. So I'd think about these guys, and I'd think about how I failed them. I'd think about how we had some great Marines, man. I trained some great Marines. I was so fucking jacked to get out of the Corps and
Hmm.
go be a civilian, and like, dude,
We all were.
I didn't do a fucking thing when I got out. I went to college. I was 22, living in a frat house with like 18, 19 year olds, freshmen. It was sophomore, juniors in college. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, and I didn't do anything. While those guys that we trained went over on that next pump over to Singing and got fucked up. Um, and for a long time, I punished myself. I built this narrative in my head that I should have been there, that
Hmm.
I was so immature that I couldn't see what was happening enough to like I have something to offer. Like I'd like to go with these boys. And like I've got friends that got fucked up over there. We lost 3-7 lost a lot of guys over there, and
Hmm.
it impacted everybody. It's like, damn, I can't remember how. I don't know how many of our peer group, in my friends group, is no longer with us just because of the fight back here at home. We've lost plenty. Um,
Hmm.
Thinking about how close to that I got, um, and wrestling around with, is this my destiny? Like, is this our destiny? It's just like I swear to God, it's once every year at least, at a minimum. Still you're seeing it. And dude, there's just a lot of guilt on my heart for feeling like I should have been there, feeling like there's a lot of Marines that died, that I would have like gladly traded places with.
Yeah.
And it got that dark. that dark to where I was telling myself that like I should have died in Iraq, or I should have extended and gone to Afghanistan with our battalion, and like I should have died instead of, like, what sense does it make for me to come back and just be fucking my life up when these guys had kids and families set up at home and better lives than me? I mean, I was finding any excuse to blame myself. And so
Yeah.
that shitty self relationship, man, you're doomed.
No, you're pardon me. I was actually trying to get a hold of a cat today who was going through a real rough spot, and I think one of the hardest things for me too is um, I know we all get distant, we all got life going on, kind of thing, but I never want to be the dude that, if I hear about something, your ass is getting a phone call from me, like, you know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean, like
oh, yeah.
and and we always say when we all get together, we got to be better about reaching out, and then we all go about living our lives and
It
having.
never happens, dude. We lie to
It
each other.
never happens. Every Marine Corps birthday, yeah, I'll hit you up next week, man.
Yep.
And but I think one of the weirdest lessons to learn is how to not blame yourself for somebody not wanting to stop hurting themselves. And it's hard to say, but it's the truth. Um, the guys that have killed themselves, it's not our fault. It just will always suck. Um,
Oh,
well, so my kid's name is my son's name. His name's Christopher Nicholas, and that's after Erdley and Rasmussen, guys from Lima.
yeah.
And they're. I was talking. I talked to Big Chris's sister today, actually, but whew, that's gross. Yeah, you got me. You got me going. But it is one of the it is okay to be upset, but I think but you cannot blame yourself
Mm-hmm.
for that choice, and it's always a hard pill to swallow, especially as a sober person, because you immediately want to dive back into what you know, which is I got to bury this. I can't let it run through me, and
It's wild, man.
you just gotta let it. You just gotta let it suck.
I've learned that, dude. I've learned that nothing's ever gonna change until you sit with it, and like throwing this stuff, um, drugs and alcohol, and um, going out every night, and dude, I was trying to find validation for my life anywhere but inside myself, because
Mm-hmm.
I felt, it's like you feel so empty. And so I think about the pain that a lot of these guys are feeling. And um we just lost Guerrero last November of 21. um I don't know if you would remember him or not, from
Yeah,
weapons. Yeah.
pretty Mexican boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
dude was dude was such a G, man. He was such a good cat. I love spending time with that guy. And he was just, to me, I mean, he was always one of those guys that was like, damn, that's like another level of squared away.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty well known for kind of being a little bit of a shitbird. I was really, really good at my job. Garrison could kiss my ass though.
Yep.
Uh, so you know, I kind of got labeled that, and that was fine. But um, dude, I look back and there's so many things that I would have done differently. But that right there is the point of like you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so I think about I think about the pain that like Angel was in. And I think about the pain that like all the other guys have been in cuz we've all been there. Like we've all had those drunk nights. I know you've had those drunk nights where you're trying to
Hmm.
find a fucking reason to stay alive. Um
Hmm.
and you're absolutely right. Like there's nothing we could have done because it goes back to what we were talking about earlier in this thing. It's a choice about you. It's a choice that you have to make for yourself. It's an
Hmm.
internal investment that you've got to come to on your own terms, and it's like that's that's kind of why I've just been open with talking about how out of control I let my life get. It
Hmm.
helps me for one be able to like sit with the pain, talk about it, forgive myself, and work through it. But it also is like there's a lot of excuses that I hear for people to not get their fucking life on track. And like,
Hmm.
I'm still chubby as shit. You know, I'm working out hard, but I'm still chubby as shit. Like
Yeah.
I do dumb stuff every now and then. But like being able to find self-worth and like turn that into turn that in like dude, what you did with your body, bro. That shit was wild, man. That shit was wild. And it's that power that you mustered from somewhere inside of you that like I don't know if civilians fully quite understand. Just that like those weird mental switches that we're capable of flipping. And like that's
Hmm.
dude, that's how the drinking with me ended was just tapping into that same part of my brain that wouldn't let me fall asleep on Firewatch or like reminded me like oh it's like you're cold but like you're not that cold, you know. I was able to tap into that side of my memory and my brain that allowed me to just shut it off, flip that switch. And so I dude, I got lucky with not having withdrawals or symptoms. And like dude, I don't think about alcohol at all. It's just nothing, it's just nothing that concerns me anymore. But it's just I think because it's gotten to the point to where like I've seen what an intentionally driven like life can do with when you're consistently like trying to keep the positive forward momentum. And like it
Hmm.
changed everything when you start looking at yourself that way. It kind of changed everything for me.
So, tell me about your company, man.
Dude,
Let's get
it's
into
going
that good shit.
dude, it's going good, man. Thanks for asking. No, I started my company like 6 months before I got sober. And it was all right while I was drinking. Not that great, as you can assume. But I started an excavation and earthworks company. So we do um, pretty wide variety of stuff. But like concrete foundation dig outs, like site prep, just like civil construction, mostly on the residential side. But I've been getting some decent sized commercial jobs coming through. But no, man, I it was something that I started in the sobering up process because of where I was at. You know, like I wasn't working at the time. I had gotten in like a car accident. Thank God I wasn't drunk, but I had gotten in a car accident, had some back issues, and they were advising me to not go bounce around in heavy equipment with like a neck injury. So I didn't work for a while, and I depleted my savings. And by depleted, I mean drank away. Drank away my savings, paid my bill. I owned a house at the time, but I was so late. I was so late on all my bills, and dude, I had one credit card that was $1,500 away from being maxed out. Credit score was in the trash. And I started this business by renting small little machines from your local machinery spot and doing these side jobs where I'd be able to hustle and make, a couple $1,000 a week. And it just kind of grew. And now it's to the point, I've got a way bigger work truck, and I've got my own machine and plenty of tools. And I did a decent amount of revenue this last year. So I've got some big commercial stuff, hopefully on the horizon, some apartment complexes, some subdivisions and stuff that I'd like to get into. But man, I wanted to rebuild myself. I got to make up for this last 15 years of bullshit that I've been doing, man. So I wanted to create something that like nobody can touch, from nothing. It's like how broke I was, how down on myself I was. It's like, dude, I was in such a toxic relationship. Um, and at the time, she was undoubtedly the love of my life, but I had let my life had come crashing down so hard that it left me with nothing. I mean, I wasn't even really, dude, I say this, I think this is the first time I've said it out loud and realized it, but I wasn't even mentally healthy enough at that point to go back to work for someone, like to work a normal like 8 to 5 job, doing civil construction, like dealing with other people, HR, like common professionalisms in the workplace. Like I wasn't even that healthy. Um, I kept seeing friends die. I kept drinking farther and farther. I lost that relationship. I kept drinking deeper and deeper. And like if I would have wanted to get a job at that point where I started my own business, like I would have showed up to the job interview drunk. Um, and so I mean, you got these little equipment rental places that you can go rent a mini excavator or a skid steer for a day for like $500. So that's what I'd do. And I'd go, like I use that $1,500 and I'd spend, $500 on a small machine and another $500 on materials. And I'd make $1,000 and then I had $2,500 and I kept going and kept going and kept going. And now I've got all my own stuff, and it's going well. But it was something that I decided I needed to recreate, rebrand myself, put my hand on something, and make it count. It's dude. I had been telling myself, I'd been telling you, I'd been telling my family about. I've been telling this like massive lie, telling all these people that, oh, I just can't find the right therapist. Or like, oh, the
Yeah.
VA sucks. I can't get the health care I need. Or like, oh, this medication isn't working. I'm gonna switch it. This medication isn't working. I'm gonna switch. And I was like selling this story of like how unhealthy I was, and like man, PTSD is just kicking my ass. Like I got all these dead friends. There's no point in me being around. Um, I was just like lying to everybody. I feel like because I was drunk the whole time. Nothing you do to improve your life is gonna work even half as good if you're drinking through that process. And I was drinking through every process, and I realized that everything that like I was hustling my ass off. But it's just like in the gym, dude. It's like you're not gonna see results if you're poisoning your body with alcohol weekly. It's not gonna happen.
Remember when we were butting heads about that? When I was sending you programs and shit, and you're like, "Well, I don't understand why it's not working." I said, "What are you doing wrong?" "I don't know, nothing."
Might have been the fifth a day.
Maybe.
Fifth a
I'm
day.
I'm not a brain wizard, but
Right. Right.
no, what you're saying makes total sense to me, man. It makes total sense to me. Like, that's what my personal training company was. It was I need I need something that's mine, and the only person that can take it away from me is me.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to make this work.
Yep.
And then I think that I think that if we can take and focus our bullshit into stuff that is positive for our lives, we could really make something really cool out of this world we live in.
Yeah,
Whether, in
absolutely.
some in some every bit of tearing down that we do, we can definitely be building something instead.
For sure.
And then, I've slowed down with that, with the training side of things, and now my you can hear my toddler screaming in the
Oh
background. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
trying not to go to sleep, dude. Life is beautiful if you let it be. Like, of course, there's going to be just mountains of bullshit, no matter what it is. But like, life can be just beautiful if you let it.
Dude, I realized that we were processing stuff, and we were living our lives like the way that we were trained to survive. And
Mhm.
we were trained specifically for, like, dude, I could sniff out the worst case scenario from a mile away. And we were I'm not going to say brainwashed, because everything that was done was like intentional and served a purpose, and it was like for the common good, right? But that
Yep.
mentality of, um damn, everything's out to get you, like, I've got to be on such high alert because I can't risk missing something that's going to kill me, or my friends. Being ready for, like, the worst case scenario around every corner, um, that is really, really not applicable to civilian life.
No.
uh, Not at all. So, and like your therapists today will like talk about that, as catastrophizing. You look at a situation and you see the worst possible outcome, and that's how you react. And so, damn, for like a while, I was like looking at my life, looking at my existence, is like catastrophe is right around every corner. So I was just like, fuck it. I'm just gonna drink. I'm just gonna abuse myself. Like, it's none of it really matters. But man, finding, dude, in the midst of all this, in the before I was sober, the woman I'm with now, man, found me like at my rock bottom. Like, I couldn't have been more undesirable. Like, the worst type of partner. I
Mhm.
and it's it's like a love and a level of care that, like, I hope everyone learn. Like, she taught me, her loving me at my worst, man, that that taught me a lot. um trying to figure out how someone could possibly see stuff inside of me that I can't see. um but it had just been buried by, like, all these bad habits, that shitty narrative. Like, we set ourselves up for failure pretty hard. Our brain can be a fucker sometimes.
Yeah.
It's naturally programmed to push us against the grain and keep us in our comfort zone. And um, unfortunately, my comfort zone took me to a place where I was alone, um, and I didn't feel desirable. I didn't feel marketable. I didn't feel like I had anything to offer. Um, and dude, she conjured up something out of me that I didn't know that I had. Um, and I think it's really, really important for people to experience, like, good love, good friendship, like solid people that don't judge, for, like, this sort of behavior, this sort of time in our lives. I don't know if you're familiar with a guy named Cody Alford. He was a Marine Raider. He's been on some sweet podcasts. But he just talked a lot about his experiences and coming home and I listen to a lot of podcasts with combat vets that come home and talk about the same stuff the same exact stuff that we go through and the hole that it puts us in. Um, and I was in, dude, I was in that hole, and I got lucky enough and was able to pull myself out of it. A lot of it's because of her, man. A lot of it's because of her. A lot of it's because of a few really good buddies, man. I had some friends over in Afghanistan that just completely saved my life, Jake. I mean, doing like health and comfort checks on me in the morning to make sure that I was going to wake up. Um, there towards the end, the last month or so when I knew that I was coming home, I had quit. I had resigned. I knew I was coming home. Like things just got so nasty.
Yeah.
And I got lucky enough to have the love and respect from some of the best guys I've ever met in my life, man. Um, they helped me. They helped me out of it, man. So I think it's damn, it's so hard to do without a good solid network. And like
Yeah.
that's kind of what convinced me that I wanted to like talk to you and like hop on here is just um being available, hearing like being a story that someone can listen to. And it's like I let my life get completely out of control. And being able to come back from that, man, it's like, yeah, you got to find where the credit is due. And like it's due to me. Like I've done some hard work, but some amazing loving people in my life, man. I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. I know you're the same.
Oh, absolutely. It's like I'm sure at some point in time you had like growing up as a kid, you had like a principal or a teacher or somebody telling you, you know, be careful who you hang out with because that's who you become. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
and you know for at least 4 years of our life, we didn't really have any. Like we could have hung out with the kids that were like just doing laundry and taking their MCI tests and going to sleep. But like,
Those are the boring kids,
yeah,
man.
not boring, man. Oh,
Those
we're
are the
gonna go
boring kids.
we're gonna go party and find
Yeah.
some nonsense.
Yeah.
Hit up that one kid from India Company that had the piles of Tony Montana cocaine on his kitchen table and see what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna haze some boot into driving me to Palm Springs so I can go get hit on by 50-year-old retired women at the Palm Springs. Oh
Well,
man.
see that never worked for me. I was blonde hair, blue eyed kid. You have that exotic look to you.
Oh dude, I got the mocha skin, man. I got the mocha skin, the exotic look. That's right.
Like, oh no, just another white kid from the Bays. Get out of here. Man, I'm so proud of you. Like I am like for real. I like I've
I
worried about
appreciate
you a
it.
lot, and like I'm so glad
And
that
we had some
you're.
shitty talks. We had some shitty talks, and I'm like, I don't even really remember all of them, but I know that I talked to you multiple times when I was over there and not doing good. Um, yeah, man, I really appreciate that. It was like you and I were good enough friends that like me being able to watch you do that was enough. It was like enough to almost hold me accountable. You know what I mean? It's just like, dude,
Mhm.
it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like I watched what you did, and I was just so impressed, man. And I knew that like I had to change my life. I knew that I had to, and like being able to see you and like link in with other resources, and there's a million podcasts out there. I feel like that you can listen to, but for some reason having people close to you that are making that transformation. I mean, I've watched a couple of my buddies that have been in the same place that I have been, sober now, doing great. Doing great. And it's like, to watch that process, dude, it's very gratifying. It's
It's
very
amazing
gratifying.
too. Well, it's because like you know how hard it is, like with yourself, and it's like I don't know. It's almost like seeing somebody coming up from a baptism. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like you
yeah,
did it. You saved yourself. You did it. You fucking
yeah,
did it.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Come come on over, man. Like
And that is
and
key, dude. That is key. Um, Saving yourself, because, dude, ain't nobody coming.
no, it's
No
you
one, no
can
one, no one's gonna come fix it. No one's gonna knock on your door and be like, okay, like, this is the day that you need to stop drinking. And I think one of the first things you told me was like, if you think you have a problem, you probably got an issue with it. Um,
yeah.
and dude, it had taken control of everything that I did. Everything that I did was based on making myself feel anything besides normal
What you
feelings.
needed to, right?
What
Yeah.
I needed to, yeah, yeah. And so sobering up and like letting that dust settle and like taking accountability and inventory of like what your life has become is a challenge, because it's all I feel like the choice of sobriety is that it is like that first investment truly in yourself, like
Hmm.
having to look yourself in the mirror. I mean, I turned into someone that I fucking hated, man. Like, there was a while that I had shit like hung up on my mirror sometimes so I wouldn't have to look at myself. I couldn't
Yeah.
bear to be I couldn't bear to be around myself. I couldn't bear to be alone with my own thoughts. um my validation came so much from what like the hottest woman I could find at the bar thought of me that night, or like what my friends thought about me, or like how much money I made. All these external factors were what I was going to for validation, because there was like my tanks, as far as self-love, like my tanks were had been empty for years. um
Hmm.
so yeah, it's just such a wild journey. It's just such a wild journey to come out on the other side of it, because dude, I remember talking to you at times where like I didn't even think that I was going to make it home from over there.
Yeah.
Uh, Dude, having the people at the VA throwing fits that I wouldn't let them keep me. They were trying to keep me in inpatient care for a while. It had
Hmm.
got so bad, so dangerous, and like we're always going to own guns. Like, you
Yeah.
never. Come on, come on. Chinese are here, but dude, they were. It had gotten to the point to where, dude, I had people calling the police to come do like welfare checks to make sure that I'm okay.
Hmm.
Um, and that's a sobering thought, man. Like waking up in a drunk stupor to like cops yelling outside your door that they're like about to break it down for fear of your safety, because I had, someone thought I was going to kill myself. Um, it's just crazy to come back from that, man. And it's hard to come back from it and not wish that I would have been more present for the guys that like didn't come back, because man, just another voice, just another, just someone advocating, someone that's done it, someone who knows it, that's felt it, that's processed it. Um, I mean, I reached out to you. I reached out to a couple other brothers that had found sobriety, and like it truly did help me. I don't
Hmm.
think that without that, without a group of people that like I could watch and see, and it's not like we talked every day, Howard, but
Right.
like I was able to creep on your ass.
So I was pumping that content out.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, like I think I think now it's a way better mindset to have that I you you can look back on what it was, but I always try and think of it as the lesson that it was. I really like I really try and not to regret anything that has happened in my life
Hmm.
because what's the point of that? That's just going to throw me down a deep spiral of boohoo. Instead of accepting the lesson that I learned from it, accepting the lesson I learned from it, and moving forward. Like I can hate myself all day for breaking my hands on a pillar,
Yeah.
or other dumb stuff, or how how did I live falling off that building, like all kinds of shit like that. But instead of focusing on that, it was who are you today that is better and different than who you were when you were doing all of the dumb shit you were doing. Because who I am at 34 is way different than who I was at 18.
Oh yeah.
It's way different than who I was at 20. It's way different than who I was at 25. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I've been like as of December 5th, I've been sober 7 years.
Damn, dude.
You know what I mean? Do you
Damn,
know how
that's so
long
cool, man.
do you know how long it
That's
takes
so
for all
cool.
of your cells to recycle through your body?
No.
7 years. So every 7 years you're a whole different person.
Yeah.
I've been sober a cell cycle, bro.
That's
Not
dope,
one
man.
cell currently in my body has ever touched alcohol. How rad is that?
That's as rad as it gets.
So it's like I can look back and still hate myself to this day. But there's no point to it. It's you have to accept who you were and then try and just be better. Like I am comfortable in the fact knowing that my daughters and my son will never see me the wreck that I was.
Yeah, man. I
They'll
can't
ne-
even.
they will they'll never even know that guy. That's beautiful,
Dude, that's so beautiful. And
you know?
that's your life now. Like
Yeah,
that's who you are. Like that. But what's gnarly about that, dude, is fucking nobody else created that except you.
right.
You know what I mean? And being able to look back at how close we were to. I mean, how I can speak for myself how close I was, but being able to look back and see like, damn, our balls were right on the bandsaw, and
Hmm.
being able to like pull ourselves back from that, and it's just like, dude, 7 years is, yeah, man, that's who you are now, and um, like that's the mentality I've had. I looked at a lot of the choices I made when I was drinking. I looked at a lot of the financial moves that I was making, spending all my fucking. I mean, I've done the budgets, I've done the number crunching, and there's a lot of money. It's a lot of money that I wasted away. But being able to muster up whatever it takes us, and like you said, every person's a little bit different, I think. But
Hmm.
being able to find that inside yourself to truly go in, do the work, and rewire your brain is, dude, that's dangerous. Being able to conquer something like that is huge. It's a power that, I mean, it makes me feel kind of unstoppable. I know I dude, the storm is never over, but
Right.
I think that's what it's all about, right? Putting yourself in a position to like be able to bear those, to be able to bear the tragedies that you have to face, to be able to bear the traumas that you have to go through, and bear it like with grit and maturity, and like process things in a way that's like healthy and continues the forward momentum. Like I was able to look at the decisions I was making And then I wrote, dude, it was as simple as like writing down on a piece of paper some of the things that I wanted, some of the things that like I should have probably accomplished by my age, according to my own unrealistic expectations of myself. But,
Yeah.
like these things that I want in my life, it's like, I want a wife that like is my best friend. I want a family. Like I want to be strong and healthy and courageous and like trustworthy and like consistent. And you can't be any of those things with addiction. You can't be any of those things with addiction. So taking a look at where I wanted my life to be and then taking stock of the actions and decisions that I was making and realizing that neither of them aligned. All the choices that I was making were going to lead me to be a homeless addict, like a
Yep.
homeless addict or dead. Um, and so it just took some realigning, some recalibrating. But yeah, dude, being able to muster that up out of nothing, because I felt like fucking nothing, dude.
Shit.
Like the
Yeah.
day before, dude, the day before I realized I wanted to stop drinking, it's like that's the most depressed, most suicidal I've ever been in my life. Um, and being able to turn that around, man, it's like I wish I could talk to more. I wish I could talk to more people about it. I want to like keep sharing it, just because it's I found a lot of help, and I found some therapy. I don't know how sober you are, but I found a lot of help, man. In some psilocybin therapy. I've been microdosing on some shrooms and also mega dosing on some shrooms every now and then. But
Yeah.
like some of the lessons I've been like, dude, just being able to like sit with yourself and slow everything down. And like I've had to sit in the dark alone and like talk to myself and remind myself like that I'm worthy and that like I love myself and like I can do this. And like that, dude, people don't understand the power of like that internal dialogue that goes on all day every
Mhm.
day, that conversation that you're having with yourself. It's like, dude, if it's that's where it starts, is a negative mindset. And like I let my negative thoughts get so out of control that like it almost took my life.
Yeah.
Um, so
Oh, and I'm not against that at all. Like I have a little bit of THC here and there. Not like
yeah,
not like it's a daily thing for me, but on some days where I'm like, I need to shut up,
right, yeah,
and I have nothing against psilocybin. I think uh, I think psilocybin is a wonderful tool. I think I can't say this. I'm not a doctor. Let me preface this. I'm not a doctor. I think a lot of people would benefit from a good natural hallucinogenic
dude, for sure,
every so often.
for sure, for sure. And like, granted, one of the things that you take from experiencing hallucinogens is like if you do it right. One of the things you take from hallucinogens is like an experience where you're scared to fucking death because things are weird and you're not used to this, and being able to like sit with yourself and sit with the discomfort and like use that internal monologue to like calm yourself down, enjoy what's happening, become introspective, like experience what's happening. It was a game changer for me to start dabbling with that stuff, and using it with that intent. I microdose pretty regularly, and when I do mega dose, like I do it with the intent of um like finding a lesson, like
Yeah,
doing some work. Most of it's like forgiveness. Um
yeah,
I've found most of my like mind thought changing experiences to have come from learning more forgiveness for myself, forgiveness for like my past self, forgiveness for people that I had mistreated, people that had mistreated me, unhealthy relationships I've been in. Really, just like doing the work to um, end that battle, be at peace with myself. It was what needed to happen, and now it's like I I used to hate being around myself, man.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that makes sense, but I've had
Yes,
to.
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, I've had to fucking describe to people how scary it is to like live with a part of yourself that you're terrified of. To like be at battle with a part of me that like I was terrified of, that was out of control. It's like when I was drunk, dude, when I was good and sauced, it's like I was out of control. Like I didn't even know what I was capable of, and like having to battle that side of me that like I didn't know what was capable of, that half of the time was like trying to tell me like, well, you should probably just kill yourself right now, it'd be easiest. It's like, dude, having to battle that side of myself was like, is terrifying. It's terrifying having to live with that every day, having to act normal, answer phone calls, socialize with people, when it's just like, well, yeah, I just came from having a gun in my mouth like an hour ago, but
Yeah. What's for lunch, guys?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, I have found. So I used to be a real life of the party person.
yeah,
You know, and wherever the noise was, I had to be there, and I had to be the one making the most noise. And as what I've found more is, I have no problem staying at my house by myself.
it's my
None.
favorite thing to do.
I'll just sit and listen to my tinnitus, and maybe just, and then and maybe just like put some music on and just like sit down and just stare off. Like
Yeah,
there's no way I could have done that years ago. There's no way. Because then it's back to the psilocybin a little bit. One of the coolest times that happened with me was I was over at Drew and Aaron, and we were we were just down there on the farm. And I remember there was a tree out in the front yard, and I just stood out there just for hours looking at this tree.
yeah.
And it was just like every thought that came into my head was like I had to solve a problem. And if I solved a problem, then my mind would play a cartoon that it made up. And then like all just while watching this tree. Like,
Hmm.
it was great. I think
Yeah,
everyone should try
yeah,
it.
everyone's got to try it, man. Everyone's got to try it.
It's
um
different.
it's definitely different. It's I mean, you're hallucinating, so
But the first time was I went to go see Avatar in 3D back in the day at IMAX.
yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, with Kyle and Kyle. We all went to the theater, and no last names mentioned here.
Right.
We're all professionals with wives and kids and jobs. Man, I was in Pandora there. That
Yeah,
part.
inside of it.
Oh, dog. That shit was rad. I just had a Joey Diaz moment. Oh, dog, you kidding me?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail the conversation. I just had to get my ADHD was screaming at me like, tell that. But no, man, I love you a lot. Like, I love you a lot, dude. I am so fucking proud of you. There's
Thanks.
no like, you've always been a good dude, and I'm glad that you are realizing that too.
Yeah, man. That's it. That's important. I think, dude, we all have it in us. We all have it, like, we all have that decision inside of us that we can like see ourselves in a different light. Um and dude, people have unhealed wounds from so much different shit. It's like things, life, our deployments, shit could have gone a lot fucking worse in the
Yep.
Marine Corps for us. And there are a lot of young guys, a lot of our brothers that had it a lot worse than we had it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Being able to like look back and be thankful, like you were talking about earlier, like for the experience, because I know 100% that I wouldn't have had the strength to like change my life if it wasn't for some of the things that we had to endure
Mm-hmm.
in the Marine Corps, deployed and not deployed. Um, Most of it was like just bullshit for us, but like, dude, losing people that were like some of your best friends at a time is such a fucking trip to me,
Yeah.
especially like in the context of like how we keep losing people. It's like it feels like I was just with them yesterday.
Yeah.
It feels like we were all just shitting around and hit together just the other day.
Throwing rocks for some reason.
That's what we do. That's what
Yeah.
that's what Marines do, is throw rocks.
Marines throw rocks, man. That's
Rocks in the ammo can, dude. Rocks. Well, rocks at anything. Rocks at
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Rocks at rocks.
Yeah. But dude, it's yeah, I just, back to what you were saying, man. It's like so much love and respect for you and like what you were able to do. It's like you're a big fella, man. You were a big fella, and dude, you were drinking heavy. You were drinking heavy just as hard, if not harder, than I was. And you're in the party spot to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to go from that and like finding the discipline that it takes, man, it's very admirable. I mean, you're 100% one of the people that was like, I read our conversations a lot. I thought about what you'd done. I watched how fucking small you got. No offense, you're too small.
Oh,
You were
oh,
too
I got
small.
way too small. That first show
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
yeah. But it was like, damn, like he did that, and it was, I think that's something that we all gotta find, is like a moment in time where we can stop and like take stock and like make a true investment in ourselves without it being about really anything else. Like I knew that I had to get sober to like start a relationship with myself, and like I'm
Yep.
still working on it. I mean, that's a that's a battle every day, is like controlling negative thought patterns. I mean, dude, I can spiral with the best of them. One
Mm-hmm.
negative thought, one bad thing happens, and like I can spiral a whole day away. um
Yep.
but it takes the time and the work and the dedication to like go in and rewire every little like nook and cranny, like those irrational thought patterns, those unhealthy coping mechanisms. And seeing you like switch up the game, man, it was dope. It was really, really dope to watch. So just as much love and admiration your way, man.
And with that, Jordan, where can people find you if they want to hit you up, man?
Man, honestly, just my Facebook or Instagram. We've got my company website, watsonexcavatingllc.com. Take a look at like some of my past and future projects coming up. But I don't really have much of a social media presence. I kind of scaled that back in this process of like trying to find out truly what is important. And like, it sucks because I want to spread my story and like I want to talk to other guys, and I like, but like I fucking hate social media, man. What it's become is just like I don't, it's like I try not to be involved. I mainly use it to like keep track of my boys from the Marines and shit. So, but yeah, my Facebook, my Instagram, I'm always around. But dude, I've been a part of a lot of like, I don't know if you've ever heard of like the Fallen Outdoors, but there's a lot of like veteran hunting pages and veteran fishing pages, and there's a lot of like content and pages online that like I'm a part of where people just kind of randomly reach out for support. But dude, like, I don't know, man. I'm willing to talk to anyone. Like I said at the beginning of this, before we even started, it's like if there's one thing that I said that makes someone rethink a lie that they're telling themselves, or like rethink a behavior pattern that they're doing, it's like, reach out, man. I'd love to talk. Anyone who needs some encouraging words or whatever, man, I'm here.
There you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to the Sober Swole podcast tonight.
Thanks so much for having me on, man.
Brother, you got to come back. We got to hit you.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. I've been hitting the gym pretty hard recently, so we'll try and get back when Daddy gets his weight back.
Swing through. Let me know next time you're in Arizona. I'll beat your ass in my garage and send you home.
That's fair.
All right. Well, have a good night, everyone. DJ Swirl.
Bye.
Hey, it's Warhorse. Do you want your workouts to look like this? Or do you want your workouts to slay? When Warhorse picks his pre-workout, he wants it to slay. If you want second place, go with somebody else. If you want to be a champion, go with Royalty Nutrition.